So I want to forewarn that there will be minor spoilers for seasons 6 and 7 of Buffy. I won't go too much into the story, but a lot of these tributes to Nicholas do touch upon the end of Buffy. So be forewarned. Let me deal with Zachary. Oh boy, this is a tough one and morbidly amusing, but it is connected to Buffy. So the home improvement star has got himself into trouble with the law again. So Zachary has been in trouble with the law several times on several different charges. And to be fair, apparently he and his fiance also seem to be getting into a lot of legal troubles. She tried to run him over once and is facing different separate charges. But yep, once again, Zachary's in trouble, hopefully for the last time. In terms of the Buffy connection, he was in the final season. Again, his role was fairly small, but ironically turned out to be very critical because of his connection to Cassie. So essentially what happens is a satanic cult tries to resurrect a monster and puts Cassie in danger. And Cassie's role is super critical because she makes certain predictions or prophecies about what will happen to various characters, which turn out to be true. I'm not going to give more details, but it's a very interesting episode and a very sad conclusion in that episode. So we'll leave it there. So Zachary is now, in a weird way, a big part of the Buffy history, despite having only a minor cameo role. So now let's turn to the more uplifting news, where a lot of the cast members are giving tributes to David, are giving tributes to Nicholas. Although I will forewarn, some of this may ring false. From what I understand, again, it's just a rumor. I can't confirm, but I do want to get it out the way that allegedly David Boreanaz and Nicholas did not get along. Was there any validity there? I don't know, but just want to be fair and honest. So, most famously, of course, Sarah excerpted a part of season 7. This is a very early episode where basically Xander is talking to Dawn. And again, I don't want to give away the whole story, but the story is about whether Dawn will be given superpowers. And ultimately, wisely, I think, they decided not to give her superpowers. But Xander recognizes you're still very special. So the quotation is actually about Dawn. But of course, it applies to, Xander the character, who has no technical, magical, or superhero abilities. And there we are. So it's very touching. Although, again, being honest, apparently Sarah Michelle Gellar and Nicholas didn't have much communication in the final years. Again, there's just a lot of, legal issues and criminal charges that Nicholas faced. So I don't know if that's what disillusioned her, but they weren't that close near the end. That's just being honest. And some other castmates have also given tributes, including the actress who played Anya. And Anya was Xander's on-screen girlfriend, and they almost got married. But famously in season 6, they didn't go through with the marriage. And there we are. Also very touching, of course, is from Willow, Alyson Hannigan, who, again, used part of Buffy, the end of season 6. Here, this will be probably a big spoiler, but essentially Xander is tasked with finding a way to reach Willow, who has become a supervillain. Yeah, I know, if you're new to Buffy, you're like, huh? What? Yeah, you're mirroring a lot of experience of people who see season 6, where Dark Willow is the concluding story. I think it's pretty stupid myself, but there is a final scene with Xander and Willow, and it's very touching. It's very powerful, where Xander basically affirms his love for Willow, even if she's trying to, destroy the world. There you go. So, very touching that Alyson is using that part of season 6 to honor Nicholas. So it's a very touching range of condolences, including David, who had some pretty kind words to say about Nicholas and how they enjoyed each other's company behind the scenes when doing Buffy. Again, things are radically different now. Back then, you had to do normally 20, 22 episodes, and you spent a long, long time with castmates. So this is a cast that was especially close with one another. Although, to put it mildly, now there's a lot of friction between Sarah and Joss, right, and other castmates who, over the years, have said it's not like they were totally friends, but they did get close. They got pretty close in many, many instances. So this loss is going to impact them a lot more than even the fandom. But it's fair to say that there were still a lot of conflicts, right? Nicholas, to put it mildly, has a very mixed record with both the castmate and fans. A lot of fans are recalling, which I don't doubt this is true, that he could be very generous and very affectionate and very kind. However, we do have this other side, which are facts, because of arrests as well as testimony, that he could also be pretty vicious and cruel and just often got into these tantrums, getting really angry, destroying hotel rooms. There's one case, apparently, where he was caught on camera being really angry and violent. So it's just a very mixed case. But obviously, now that he's dead, we want to try to look at the good and the bad. So it's very sad. And obviously, we can't ignore entirely the Buffy reboot or continuation and where that is. But a few days before he died, Nicholas was very negative about the whole project, that he was not involved. Sarah did not ask him to come back. And he had a lot of doubts that the show would work without Joss. But again, remember that Nicholas could get into these angry moods. So were those his true feelings? Don't know. We do know he was a big Joss loyalist and was very skeptical a lot of the accusations and charges that Charisma and the other castmates brought up. Again, Charisma is also honoring Nicholas and had a lot of kind words, which again doesn't entirely fit her story with Joss, but there we go. So Nicholas was very doubtful that these stories were as bad as people said they were. His own experience with Joss was also very complicated, right? They didn't always get along, but he said that those were just normal, right? There were just going to be conflicts on the show because, again, it was just a lot of pressure. This was a very popular show. It's a lot of episodes. So it was a lot of work. It's a lot of tension, a lot of stress. So there we go. So as we close out Nicholas's chapter, a lot of fond memories. But again, some of the castmates were also pretty honest that they did not like him. They didn't like his attitude. Again, he did have long-standing problems with alcoholism and addiction. And again, I'm going to have to dig deeper, but Nicholas did claim that he had quite a few ugly cases of child abuse. So there's just a lot of trauma, just a lot of problems that he had in his life. Whether he was able to resolve all of them, I don't know. I didn't know the man personally, but hopefully now he's in a better place. So it's all very sad and tragic. And we now have the current controversy with Sarah and Hulu and Disney, and that's still occurring. At this moment, it appears that the, whatever we're going to call it, the reboot continuation will not proceed, at least not the Sarah Michelle Gellar version. But apparently Disney is still interested in moving ahead with Buffy. So will Xander ultimately be recast, resurrected, or will the character, like the actor, be just killed off camera? I don't know, but canonically at the end of season 7, he's still alive. So there's just a lot of tough choices ahead of what to do with Xander, Xander's legacy, and Nicholas's memory. And there we are. So hopefully Zachary will pull his life together, but it's a hard road ahead for everyone. Thanks for listening. Please stay safe.